Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at a watch-style MP3 player that has a touchscreen and also built-in Bluetooth. It comes with a wristband that you can use to wear it, and also has some basic fitness tracking like a pedometer built on in, although it lacks, say, an optical heart rate monitor. Still, it supports lots of different audio formats, including lossless formats like FLAC. It sells for around $40, so it's quite inexpensive. It comes with 16 gigs of built-in storage, it's expandable via a micro SD card slot, which is good, and in the Bluetooth mode it can last for around 5 hours of music playback. When you're using it as a wired MP3 player, it will last for around 20 hours. And some other standard features include a voice recorder in addition to a FM radio. So here we have the wristband accessory clamping into place like so, and it remains pretty comfortable, very similar dimensions again to a smartwatch. Other accessories include a quick start guide. It includes a USB Type-C cable for charging and syncing. Great to see that they're using this and not micro USB, for instance. There's also an OTG adapter which you can use to plug in thumb drives, and it can actually sideload music that you have from a thumb drive directly. And the most interesting accessory here is actually an adapter, so from Type-C to 3.5 millimeters, because believe it or not, perhaps the biggest complaint from a hardware perspective on this unit is it doesn't have a standard headphone jack. Finally, we just have a lanyard strap, but again, not having a 3.5mm jack on a MP3 player is a shame, even though this one is advertised as a portable unit, and again, wireless headphones are convenient. Yes, I think having that built-in port would have been nice to see. Quick size comparison, here it is next to something like the Honor Band 4. You can see that the overall thickness is not too bad. We have a pre-applied screen protector, although it does attract fingerprints pretty easily. The screen measures 1.3 inches diagonally, and it is touch sensitive. On the bottom here we have the power key that we can press on a few seconds to turn it on. There's also volume controls, always nice to see. And then on the right hand side there's access to the micro SD card slot to expand on the 16 gigs of built-in storage, and then nothing else on the other side except for the Type-C port for data and charging. Finally, on the rear we just have the clip, and the entire body here is made out of aluminum, so it does feel quite sturdy. The front here is made out of glass. Another device that comes to mind when taking a look at it would be the FiiO M5 MP3 player that we recently did a review on, which shares similar design philosophy of having a touchscreen display, although the FiiO does have larger bezels. Overall thickness though are very similar. The FiiO is a much more expensive player though, at around $100 versus $40 here, and part of the reason is because the FiiO does have a more expensive DAC built on in, but if you just want something casual to use, then this is still going to be perfectly fine and offers a nice competitor at a lower price. Now when the screen times out, it goes to show a time and date, which is a pretty neat trick, especially if you're using it as a watch. That becomes quite important. Although one downside is it only shows time in the 24-hour format, and it seems like you can't adjust it to 12-hour format. But aside from that, the screen itself is nice and bright. It is an IPS LCD panel, which offers pretty good viewing angles, and the touchscreen responsiveness is also quite good when it comes to sliding along. Has a 2.5D curves on the glass, which does make it easier for you to swipe along and tap on things. Exploring the carousel of apps a little bit more, aside from music, we have access to the currently playing track. Here's the basic pedometer, which you can start. You can take a look at history in terms of number of steps that you've tracked. But it is functional, and it's a nice little extra that you have on board if you want to just take this with you when you're jogging and listening to music at the same time. Another app here is going to be the voice recorder, which also is functional for quick voice notes. Here's the aforementioned FM radio, which does also work fairly well. Although to improve on the antenna reception, it does give you the recommendation of plugging in headphones. So in the wired mode, it's going to work the best if you're listening to radio. In terms of navigating along, there's always a region on the top of the screen that you can tap on to go back, all the way back to the main home screen. Another way of interacting is a gesture of swiping from the right edge to the left, and that will also go back by one page. So regardless of what app you're in, for example in the voice recording app, let's tap on pause. I can swipe over from the right side in order to exit and then go back to this main screen. In terms of photos, it's also quite basic, and in this particular app we swipe from the top and bottom to navigate left and right between the photos. But overall you can see it is functional. It just stretches the images to fit, it seems like, the full screen of this square display, but still Again, if you want to share some quick memories or keep something on here, it definitely is capable of it. There's also a basic file manager, and then under settings, we can take a look at things like the watch mode, which you can turn on or off. And you can see here that one thing is the animations for the transitions on the UI is a little bit abrupt. When you're going back and forth between different pages, there isn't really kinetic scrolling. It's not a smooth action, but kind of just flicks through the entire page. Final app here is really just a Bluetooth page, which you can use to turn on or off the settings here to search for other Bluetooth devices. Connectivity was quite stable, and I could turn the kind of display of the unit off, kind of listen to music in the background, and it still played back very smoothly, never really got disconnected between the left and right sides or anything like that. So in the Bluetooth mode, the music playback is, again, fairly impressive. All right, so coming back to music, which is the main kind of a selling point here, you're able to separate the music by content stored on the memory versus on the SD card. You can also sort through by artist, genre, playlists. So take the genre as an example. If we tap on dance music, it shows us some artists as well as tracks that we have. Afterwards, this is the interface as it plays it back. You can display cover art as well if you have an image attached to that song. Anyways, you can also play and pause the track, although these controls are a little on the small side for my personal liking, but they do work and the touchscreen is responsive enough. In terms of the volume controls, it also works quite well. It brings up the slider, which you can use to also interact with using your fingers. Other settings include tapping on this small icon on the side in order to change the EQ that's under the sound settings, and you can take a look at some preset options including rock, funk, hip-hop, jazz, classical. You can also change the playback speed, so if you want to slow down the song or speed it up, that's also something that you can customize, which is pretty neat. Overall, it works pretty well and no real complaints as far as being able to play back these tracks. Moving into the audio quality itself, I would say it's also quite impressive. Even using it in the Bluetooth mode, there is very little hints of distortion in the background, despite the fact that it lacks support for, say, Qualcomm's aptX codec, although it does support SBC and AAC standards. With decent quality earphones or headphones, it definitely sounds very good, even in the Bluetooth mode. And if you want the best sound quality, I would still recommend going for the wired option, but again, you do have to use that adapter, which is a little unfortunate. If you're playing back tracks, again, in a FLAC or lossless format, you get plenty of detail to enjoy, and it is very impressive considering how small it is. It does pack surprisingly loud and punchy sound. Certainly good enough, I would say, for the vast majority of consumers, especially as a model that's more built on portability because of how tiny it is, and the fact that it's built also for those who are on the move and do a bit more sports and exercise, hence the watch form factor. It is very small, almost like a modern day replacement for something like an iPod Shuffle, just because of that built-in clip, except now it also has a built-in touchscreen and has a very low price. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of this watch-style MP3 player. Again, very good construction quality for those purposes where you don't have to carry along your phone that's a lot larger and chunkier, and also you're able to save on battery as well, because again, as a dedicated unit, all it does is playing back music. It can last for longer, again, up to 20 hours, which is quite good for a small unit like this. So if you're interested, you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been this watch-style MP3 player from Sewobye.